It's time now to take our information that we've learned about the C scale and have applied through the other scales in ascending fifths, where we know that C had no sharps, the key of G, 1/5 up, has 1 sharp, the F sharp, the key of D has 2 sharps, etc. And apply that to the other side and figure out the key of F and other keys that have flat notes. One of the things that we learned right away was that the C scale was all these natural notes, and it gave us a series of steps: whole step, half, whole, whole, half. We also know in the key of C that C, F, and G, the 1, 4, 5, are major chords. They're major chords because each one is followed by 2 whole steps. That means when you start on one of those notes as a root, the third from it is 2 whole steps away, which makes it a major third. So C is 2 steps away from its E, that's a major chord. It also starts a major scale. You see that the whole, half, whole, half pattern gives us a whole step and a whole step from F to A. F to G to A, 2 whole steps, so F's a major chord. That means that this is starting off an F major scale. The G likewise has 2 whole steps from its root, the G, up to the B, the major third. So it's a major chord, as well as a major scale. What we found there was that if we took this last half of the C scale, we see the exact pattern, whole, half, that we started with. So this is exactly the start of a G major scale. So we start on the 5th, take that chunk, start a G scale with it, bring the 4 and 5, the F and G here, and you realize we need a half step at the end, but F and G are a whole step apart. The 4th and 5th are a whole step apart in this scale. So when you come into the key of G, in order to satisfy that half step, and also the whole half here, you have to sharp the F. We're not going to go through all the steps again, but you can see that in the key of G, there's another whole half pattern on the D. So we can take these notes, a 5th above G, start a new scale, bring the C and D over here and raise that C to a leading tone, C sharp, to satisfy the half step. We did that on single strings. We had the G scale with an F sharp at the end. We went up a 5th or down a 4th on our guitar to the D. We found that D brings with it the F sharp, and then we need a C sharp leading tone in D. On the A string, a 5th from D, we get 3 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. There's your C sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and then you're on your A. A 5th above A or a 4th below it on the guitar is the E string with 4 sharps. Then we took those scales and learned a pattern for them. So E, not going down the string, but across the strings, had a certain pattern. That started on the open E string. We can go to the A. We're going up a 4th or down a 5th to A. The exact same pattern starting on open A results in 3 sharps rather than 4. So we're removing sharps if we go this way on our guitar. The next string is D. We can do the exact same pattern, allowing for the 2nd string shift, and have a D scale starting on the open D string with only 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. We can go to the next string, the G, and try again. Again, we have to allow for the 2nd string shift, and we get the G scale with 1 sharp, F sharp. We don't have a C string to play a C scale on. We're running out of strings as well, but we did have our C scale back here with no sharps. So if we go backward from E to the key of A to the key of D to the key of G, we're removing a sharp. When we went this way, we went to the 5th and made that the new key. If I go backward, I'm going to the 4th and making it the new key. Or I'm moving this G and F sharp into the middle of the scale. The G becomes the 5th, the F sharp the 4th, and eliminating that sharp, I'm lowering that note from what it was here. It was a leading tone in G, it was F sharp. When I go into C, I remove that leading tone to get that whole step there again. This is whole, half. starting on D. We need whole, whole, half starting on C over here. So we need to move the half step over. That will all make sense when we go, not down the chart this way, adding sharps, going up a fifth, but when we go that way, going up a fourth or down a fifth, back down that fifth from C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to F. We'll go to the key of F. We saw that F sharp and G, when they come from here to 4 and 5, are too close together. That F sharp has to be lowered. So when I go into the key of F and bring the C and the B to the middle of it, they're too close together, and the fourth will have to be lowered. The B will have to be made into a flat. To start a scale on F, we've already got whole, whole, which we need to make an F major scale. But we need whole, whole, half, not whole, whole, whole. So if we make this a half step, that means B comes closer to A. We're moving F to the beginning of the scale where the pattern is whole, whole, half. So just as G became the 1 in this key and C crossed over to the 4, if I go back, the 4 becomes the 1 becomes the 5. So the 1 becomes a 5, that means the 7 becomes a 4, the 4 becomes a 1. It needs whole, whole, half. B's and C's can't be side by side, they have to be a half step apart. So the B gets the flat. If you're removing sharps and you've run out of sharps, it's like you're on the negative side of a number line. You've got positives on one side of 0. You subtract from 3 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 0. If you subtract again, you start ascending in negatives. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. In music, I shouldn't give it a negative connotation, but the flats will be ascending now, and they are the same thing as removing sharps. So now we take B and C, the 7 and 8, make them the 4 and 5, separate them, and put B flat in the key of F. If I come back into the key of C, the B flat comes here as the 7th note. It has to be raised, it has to be sharped from B flat to B as a leading tone to satisfy this half, just as F had to become F sharp here. Going backward, F sharp has to become F natural, B has to become B flat. Now, just as we had played E on the low string, I can play an F scale starting on the low string. F, G, and A. I can go to A here, and there are great shapes and scales that will do that. But I still want to stay in our first and open position here. So we go from F to G. Instead of going to the 5th fret A, we'll go to the open A string. So F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step. I need a half now, B flat. So F has B flat notes. C, D, last whole step, E to F. See, I've got my leading tone built in because E's and F's are already a half step apart. So now we have a new pattern. 1st fret, 3rd, open, 1st fret, 3rd, open, 2nd fret, 3rd. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F. We have F, and the B is flat. Recall again that our guitar is tuned in fourths. I'm ascending a fourth or descending a fifth right now. If I go from E and go up a fourth to the A or down a fifth, I lose one of my sharps. A has 3 sharps. So the same is going to happen now if I'm starting on Fs. F has a B flat note. That B flat note, the 4th note in the key of F got flatted. The 4th note in the key of F is also our next key if we're ascending fourths or descending fifths. If we're ascending fourths or descending fifths in our scales, we're losing sharps or gaining flats. So we're going to have 2 flats. B flat to C as a whole. To D as a whole, there's our half step, E's 2nd fret, so this is E flat. The 4th in B flat has become the new flat. I didn't have to tell you all that because we know we're working with patterns. If we work on these strings first rather than play around at the first set of strings where we run into 2nd string shift, we can see we have patterns. 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3 for F. Next string, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3 for the key of B flat, which gives us an E flat note. That E flat, if I go up a fifth back to the key of F, is the 7th note in F. It has to be raised into the leading tone in F. So B flat has A as a leading tone. If you can hear me emphasizing these ideas, you know that in our next key we're going to lose that leading tone because we don't need it. It's going to be the 7th note in the key of B flat moving to where it's the 4th in the next key. It has to be lowered to satisfy the half step there. We have to go to the 4th note from B flat, which is E flat. Play the same scale. 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. There's the A flat we just talked about. The leading tone of B flat has been lowered. So we have 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3, except we can't go to an open here because it's second string. Our open has to become 1. So instead of open 2, 3, it's now 1, 3, 4. So the key of E flat has 3 flats. E flat, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. Again, had you learned that scale, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, and then learned another scale, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3, you may not have seen the pattern. But if we're coming this way, we see the pattern and we see why it's altered. It's altered because we're encountering the second string. So F had 1 flat, the B flat. The key of B flat has 2, the B flat and the E flat. The key of E flat has 3, E flat, A flat, and B flat. So our next key is A flat. It will have 4 flats. It'll have B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. So that D was the leading tone in E flat. It will be lowered when we go up a 4th or down a 5th into the key of A flat. So we've had a pattern 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. Here we'll go 1, 3. We can't go open. We need to go 1 because we're on the second string. There's the equivalent of 0, 1, 3 is now 1, 2, 4. That's the E flat. F, G is the leading tone in A flat. So A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat. So from here, F, same fingering on B flat, 2 flats. Same fingering on E flat, except for the second string shift, things are moved up a fret. Same fingering for the A flat, but things are really getting moved now. And those are your flat keys. F has 1, B flat has 2, E flat has 3, A flat has 4. The next note would be D flat with 5 flats. The next note would be G flat with 6 flats. And then a C flat with 7. If C natural has all natural notes and C sharp has 7 sharp notes, then C flat would have 7 flat notes. Every note would be flat. And you could do that. You could come here, take your pattern, and put it on the C flat note. Here you could put the pattern on the G flat note. And walking you through that just a little bit more, we started on F with a new pattern that had a half step between A flat and B flat. The 4th note of F became the flat note. It was the leading tone in C, where it was the 7. That scale then, the note we've just flatted, is the 4th. Going up a 4th then, that 4th becomes our new key. Up a 4th is down a 5th. We do the same pattern, we get an E flat at the 4th. The E flat was an E back here in F, where it was the leading tone. Because it's removed and moved to the 4th position, it has to be flatted where we have a half step. The leading tone in F has been removed here. If we went back, we'd raise the note that came here before F into a leading tone. That'd be like making it sharp. Then the new flat, the E flat is the 4th. So raising up a 4th, it becomes the new key. Its 4th becomes the new flat. So E flat has 3 flats. We get a new fingering because we're on the second string. A flat becomes the new key. We get a 4th flat. The 4th flat is the D flat. D flat then would be our next key. G flat would be the new flat in it. You can see it's still the leading tone in A flat, and we would remove that in the next key. G flat would have 6 flats And so if we go up a fourth to C, we'd make a C flat with all 7 flats. And that would complete all your keys from C to C flat with their flats in order. They are F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and C flat. The flats are B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and C flat. They spell the word bead. First a B flat, then B and E, then B, E, and A flat, then B, E, A, D flat. If you can get 4 of your flats right away, ascending fourths, B, E, A, D, it's no great shakes to add the next 3 flats, G flat, C flat, and F flat. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I didn't pause during all my discussions here. Just in case I did, I'm going to run through what I may have paused on. So we've got the key of F with our pattern, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3. With B flat, the new flat. B flat is the lowered version of B, which was the 7th in C, the leading tone. As I go up a fourth or down a fifth, I remove the leading tone from C because it comes the 4th in F and it's lowered. That also, going up a fourth, is our new key, B flat. Same fingering exactly, and it has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. The first fret instead of second fret. The next key, going up a fourth or down a fifth, losing a sharp or adding a flat, is the E flat on the next string, the note we just added as a flat. It had the leading tone in B was an A, so we know the A will be flatted now. So we're going to have a B flat, E flat, and A flat. My pattern is identical, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3. Can't be 0, 2, 3 because we're on the second string. So 0, 2, 3 becomes 1, 3, and 4. A flat becomes my next key. I'm running out of strings now. We know that D was the leading tone in E flat, so D is lowered. The 4th in A flat is lowered to D flat. And we have 4 flats now. Our 0, 1, 3 on the next string becomes 1, 2, and 4. And our 0, 2, 3 is now a 1, 3, 4. And that's our key of A flat. D flat would be our next key. And we're going to start running. We're running out of strings. But we could finish it there. G flat is the 4 of that. We could make a G flat scale if we had a G flat. Actually, we do right here. That now has C flat notes in it, which look like B's. And then our last key would be the C flat with all 7 flats, including itself. C flat, and it'll have F flats, which will look like E's.